Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. Welcome to episode 41 of Everything Teams Phone Live and your groovy sounds. Brandon, what do we have today, Brandon?
We're growing up on this podcast, adding some music. I need like 3 cameras to start switching my.
That's right,
my
the view.
views.
The view. All right. Well, everybody, Brandon, let's cut that out. Everybody, welcome to the episode. There's lots to talk about today. We're going to skip right over all the big news because all the big news is coming out of Ignite today, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Microsoft Ignite has been going on here locally in Redmond. That's right down the street here. So that's been going on this week. Obviously, lots of Microsoft news coming out. We're going to have to collate that information and put it together and have our next episode deliver all the news for the Microsoft Ignite show. Today, Brandon, we're focusing on Operator Connect because there's a lot of questions swirling around Operator Connect. Why should we use Operator Connect? What's the difference between Direct Routing and Operator Connect? What about Microsoft calling plans and Direct Routing and Operator Connect? What about Teams mobile phone, Operator Connect, Direct Routing, and calling plans? So there's so much to talk about when you think about how to add dial tone into Microsoft Teams. So we're going to explore that today, and we're going to show you how to add Operator Connect, and again we'll identify the differences. But today we're going to kick things off with some interesting information. If everyone doesn't notice, Brandon was so jealous that I've had this amazing bar, this amazing microphone, that he runs out unbeknownst to me at Everything Teams Phone Live and said, Rick, I'm coming out with a bigger microphone. So
I'm gonna one up you. I'm sick of you one upping me. I'm gonna one up you. No, last week was a little embarrassing for me. If you remember, I've been on this Yeti mic, which is a pretty nice mic. But right as we started our podcast last week, it died on me. And I had to get on nothing wrong with the headset, but for podcasting, it was not as comfortable, not as fun to use. So I decided to upgrade from this older Yeti X, which is a USB-based microphone, to...
What do you have now?
Now, not that I'm sponsored or anything. But
look at that.
Sure.
There's an event in London at Enable, right? That's the Cavell event that we're actually going to go to in London, the 28th. And there's an event at the Shure offices in London. And it's going to be the Microsoft, in fact, Empowering Cloud. Tom Arbuthnot his team is having I think they're hosting the Microsoft user group at the Shure offices. Just a hot little coincidence that I just thought of, at the Shure offices in London. I think, Brandon, you'll be attending that. I'll be attending something different after the show in London. So that'll be November 28th, and we'll probably come to you live with a bunch of information from that show. But so nice microphone, nice setup, Brandon. That sounds fantastic. And then the streaming music and all that good stuff. I do have one of these things right here from these Elgato Stream Decks. So I've got one of those guys here. I am not the technical guy, though. I have plugged it in, and it does work it does work to bring up some cool things and stuff like that. But we're not all that sophisticated just yet. In the show, Brandon was kind enough to inject some music, and that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, we got to create you a virtual microphone so you can bring any sound effect in that you want with a touch of the button off that Stream Deck. So that'll be cool once we get that going.
I like it.
Yeah. The other interesting thing, you brought up London, and you and I haven't even really socialized this, so we're going to do this live. Our next show will be live in London, will it not?
Yes, it will be. We'll be live in London. We have Friday after Thanksgiving, but I don't think any of you are going to be tuning in on Friday after Thanksgiving. So we're likely going to skip that show, and we're going to head right into the London show. And we will be coming to you live from the London show. And I think we've got a podcast booth actually reserved, so that we're going to be in a different studio, but we'll be coming to you live from London. Obviously, you see the updates as we get closer to that episode. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do this. Everyone here is is looking to figure out how do they add Operator Connect, and we're going to take this from a very unbiased approach, but uh, uh, it's hard to be a bit unbiased because we are, G12 folks and all that good stuff, and we think we're fantastic. But we're gonna show you what the ecosystem looks like, who's in the ecosystem, and how you can simply add services to your Microsoft Teams environment. And then we'll even show you or talk about the differences between direct routing and Operator Connect. And a lot of times there's some content that Microsoft puts out that explains the differences between why you would use a particular plan. So we're gonna share some of that out there today. So this is a great episode to talk through how you can add dial tone to your Microsoft Teams, and again, we're specifically Operator Connect, but we're going to show you the difference between all the other options. Yeah. So there we go. Let's do this, Brandon.
Good. Let's do it.
Okay. So to kick things off, we are going to start with Brandon showing us the, here, I'll show it first. Let me show you what this looks like, and then Brandon can tee up his environment and kind of get ready for that. So let me break this out and share my screen, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's present the screen here. Okay. So in this, if you were a Microsoft sort of administrator, you are looking for, and you're not quite in your admin center in your TAC just yet, you're going to go look for ways to add dial tone, and you're going to go look for Operator Connect. Now all the fuss is about Operator Connect, right? All the organizations out there, they're going, hey, we need Operator Connect, and they don't know why they need Operator Connect. And Brandon, we're going to use your technical background and technical expertise to explain to us why, and maybe I even show a few slides to show why you connect into Operator Connect, or you get your dial tone from Operator Connect. There's a lot of different reasons, but we'll show you that. But you're taking a look and you go, okay, well, I'm at this this directory, Operator Directory, and this is all the partners that sit in Operator Connect today, right? And so you can go through everybody in here, and the list is long. It's I think there's 76 now.
78 globally.
78 globally. So as you're here in this look, there's G12 right there. As you're here, you can start to sort things. So if you want to sort who your what country you're in, what country you need coverage in. So maybe not where you're at, but where you need coverage. You could say, okay, who sorts, who provides service in the U.S.? Well, here are the providers that provide service in the U.S. And then again, there's a lot of them in there. You can sort by company name if you have the company name that you want to work with. If you want to talk about the calling, let's do the calling there and see who supports calling. Okay, these guys support calling. So here are your options in the U.S. Now, one of the things that you'll do to sort through this is you will start to go, well, are these all US based? Because I'm a US based company. Let's just say I'm looking for a US based organization. Okay, great. That may have some of these folks kind of eliminated, right? If you look at Vodafone, that's international. Orange is international. Cinch is international. There's a lot of Cinch people here. Tata's international. Telefonica Global is international, right? So you go through all those and you go, I really don't want any of these, but it still leaves a lot of carriers to choose from. And so, Brandon, how could people start to whittle down what's important to them?
Well, I think there's a couple different perspectives, right? If you're maybe you're a large enterprise and you're looking to switch to, Teams Phone specifically, and Operator Connect is of interest. Maybe you already have the existing relationship with the carrier, like, us, G12. We see this all the time where we've got customers who go, hey, we know we want to go to Teams Phone. We see that you have a Teams product. How do we get there? And Operator Connect, which we'll get into more of the details later, makes it really easy for that relationship to just immediately pivot over to the Teams Phone system. So there's that aspect. And then in general, if you're shopping around, most carriers have, you can see it on the screen there, the view offer, and maybe it's you start discussions with the various carriers to see what their offer looks like. Maybe you have specific requirements around what you want your phone system to support, And then you start to narrow down, maybe carrier A can do that, but carrier B cannot. So really, it requires then, a little homework on your part to go decide who do you want to partner with, and who's going to give you the most value for the money.
Here's what I always thought that was pretty interesting. If I'm a consumer and I'm trying to sort through what the offers look like, okay, because it's Microsoft says here, what's your offer? View the offer, right? If I go over here, I don't really see an offer, right? I see some details and stuff like that, but I see a request info form here, right? So
Mhm.
let's submit a request info form, and I just picked AT&T just because they're the big ones right here on the first corner. First, if I keep scrolling down the line here, well, then you get to G12, and let's go see what our offer looks like, and let's just see what this thing has here. So start making calls today with Operator Connect, and you sort through. There's some. Let's get started. There's schedule a demo if you want to have a demo. There's book a call there. So there's some stuff in here. There's some pricing right there for you. But there is this button at the top to start your free trial. And you click on start your free trial, and you can just kick this off and start your free trial and get going right away. So there is a difference between if you're sorting through who you're looking for from an Operator Connect perspective. I guess you would go down here and you could choose your carrier, and then in some instances, particularly if you're in a hurry, or particularly if you're you want to. Everybody's time is really precious these days, right? I mean, in IT, you're asked to do a whole lot more with a whole lot less. So you don't have a whole lot of time to go sort through a bunch of different companies here. But if you click on one that can provide you services straight away, and one that's asking for a form, it'd be interesting if anybody on the call has ever submitted a form to any of the carriers in Operator Connect. I'm curious to see how long that has taken to get a response.
Yeah, and that actually sparked a thought in my mind, and I'm going to say something, and it's going to be probably pretty uneducated, but I know I saw somewhere, and maybe if Tom with Empowering Cloud is listening, maybe maybe it's on his website already, maybe it's not, maybe it's an idea for him. Wink, wink. I think I saw somewhere that lists the carriers that offer free trials. So
Oh,
there's third party data sets out there that you can take this data set and you can go compare it to. And again, I can't remember if it's on Empowering Cloud or not, but I know I've seen it where then
well,
you could
Empowering
maybe say like,
Cloud.
hey, yeah, go
You're
ahead.
right. You're right. Empowering Cloud. You're right. Empowering Cloud has their own tool that gives you the ability to sort through the different carriers and understand what the differentiators are for each. So that's a great resource, Empowering Cloud. You'll see I've got it right here in my favorites right there. It's empowering.cloud. So certainly take a look at that show at that website and sort through the different carriers. Brandon, let's say I pick a carrier. Actually, let's talk about the differences between Operator Connect and the and direct routing. In fact, why don't you? I'm going to stop screen sharing for a moment here, and why don't you talk through what some of the differences are? But I'm going to bring up a page in Microsoft where they show some of the differences between the two solutions.
Yeah, I mean, we can start high level and kind of work our way maybe a little lower level, but for starters, when you think about what is the Teams phone system, it's your replacement for your legacy Mitel, Cisco's, Avaya's, or maybe you're moving off of a different hosted cloud provider that has their own hosted PBX of some flavor. Uh, Teams Phone is that phone system. So now you're left with this decision that you have to make. How do I bring PSTN to my phone system? Legacy phone systems, you would bring in some kind of, could be analog circuit, could be a SIP trunk, an IP circuit, something like that. In the Teams ecosystem, the Teams phone system, you have to make that same decision. How do I bring PSTN to the phone system? And there's three main ways to do it, right? There's the Microsoft offers their calling plans, which is they control, manage, and maintain everything. And you're all in on Microsoft. There's really nothing for you to do there besides move your numbers to them. Then there's Operator Connect, which is the big carriers, the main carriers in the service provider space. And the kind of one of the big benefits there is it's all kind of pre-set up and pretty much automated for you. So you say you pick G12 or you maybe pick AT&T. you're going to pretty much automatically get activated for PSTN when you move your numbers to that carrier for Operator Connect. So there's really not a lot for you to do from a phone system perspective, because the carrier has kind of bolted into and certified with Microsoft to create that PSTN activation seamlessly. And then direct routing is, hey, I want to do this myself. I want to go pick my own carrier. I want to manage this environment. I want to connect whoever my carrier is myself. And that could be you buy your own SBCs, you connect the carrier to your SBCs, and then you create the PSTN connectivity up to Teams phone system via direct routing, or you pick a partner like G12 that offers a managed or hosted direct routing product. But again, there's still a lot more custom setup to go through. So that's kind of high level.
There you go. So if you look at this, this is right on the Microsoft website, right? So if you look at this and you go, the differences between Operator Connect and direct routing, right? So there is a programmatic approach to Operator Connect, right? This is what we're in. We're in Operator Connect. There's a program associated with it, right? There's an ecosystem. The direct routing is not programmatic. It's a technical solution that you can enable and activate in several different ways, and it's uncontrolled, right? There's an interconnection specific to direct routing or Operator Connect, and there's not through direct routing. Now let's just, since we're talking about this real quick, let's show what that looks like. What we're talking about here is actual connectivity, right, from the PSTN world, right, to Azure peering or Azure sessions in sessions of our system, our session border controller in Azure, right? And then explain what this is right here, Brandon. This layer right here.
Yeah, so from our data centers, right? That's what we have to physically connect first backup at the PSTN, right? That could be TDM, SS7, could be SIP, could be IP. And then we've got our core data centers that are connected to that PSTN. And then what you're referring to there is that the maps interconnectivity. So we have two circuits in each of our data centers that physically connect up into Microsoft at their data centers in different regions in the country. And that's a requirement of Operator Connect. So we've got that physical connectivity. Whereas
Right.
direct
So
routing, you're not necessarily going to have that. You
you're
can,
not, yeah,
but it's
right.
optional.
It's uncontrolled. It's an uncontrolled environment essentially in what you're buying there. So provisioning through APIs and facilitate automation. It's so there's obviously a set of APIs that Microsoft lays out for us to be in Operator Connect so that we can activate services, activate TNs, procure TNs, work through this set of APIs that they've established and control, right? Whereas in number provisioning and direct routing, you'll know, I don't know if anyone's out there has noticed, but in direct routing, you don't have a number inventory in Teams, right? Whereas if you're an Operator Connect, you have a spot in the TAC that does show what your number inventory is.
And I think that's that next line that it's referencing Teams Admin Center, right? We as the operator, or whoever the operator is, has presence there, right? We publish, as an operator, we publish your inventory into the Teams Admin Center. Direct routing, you have no management around the carrier aspects within the Teams Admin Center. You've got a swivel chair and work with your carrier for all of that administration.
Well, I'm going to break it down simpler here. So basically, I don't know if I'm using direct routing. I don't know what numbers I have, and I've got a spreadsheet that I'm basically keeping track with, or my carrier is keeping track from a spreadsheet perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 100 numbers, and I've got 77 to sign, and I've got 20 whatever available, right? 23 available, and I've got to go see which ones are available, and then I have to ask my carrier, or I have to run a command in PowerShell to go add that number to the user. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And we see this, right? Because we sell direct routing. We have customers that ask us all the time, hey, can you tell us what numbers we have available or our inventory? And then, yeah, exactly. They've got to go, it's a manual audit. And then you're either doing PowerShell or you're doing, manual clicks through the Teams Admin Center to assign that phone number up into the system for the Teams phone system.
Yep. So there's the number visualized right there. That's the number visualized in the portal for provisioning and management. That's essentially, there's that right there. Data sharing. You've got some CDR access, support and SLA. This is an interesting one right here. Operator tier 1 support. So does this mean that if you're going through direct routing, you're looking at connecting to Microsoft outside of a plan versus G12 can go open tickets on your behalf?
Yeah. And it's interesting because they've got operator tier 1 support listed on both, but I think there's a little difference between the two that we should call out. Operator tier 1 support from a direct routing, if that's referring to the carrier aspect, the carrier aspect is only going to be able to tell you that, hey, we routed this call towards your team's phone system or towards your SBC, whichever way that model is set up for direct routing. You're not going to get Microsoft. Your carrier isn't going to have Microsoft purview, meaning they're not going to be able to see into the system. Whereas when you combine the data sharing line up above and the support SLA down below, the carriers have a lot more visibility into what's going on with the call flow. Like we, as an operator, we can actually see that your user rejected the call. Maybe they have a forwarding rule on, always forward, and we can see that. So we can actually support.
No, go ahead.
We can actually support the team's phone system a little more robustly than we could as a direct routing provider.
And that's where this operator Microsoft model is in place. A support model is in place at Microsoft for us as operators to go open tickets either on your behalf or open tickets in the event that there's a situation. It's not you, and this is what their difference here is. It's you escalations through Microsoft 365 or Premier Support. So you're going through your normal support channels, not a carrier channel. You're just opening a ticket with your normal support guys. If it's your Premier Support, you open your ticket there and you do that versus a model place here.
Yeah, and it may not even route initially to the right group within Microsoft, right? Because Microsoft is supporting Microsoft 365 as a whole. It'll eventually route to maybe someone who gets the support. Whereas in the operator model, if we decide to open a ticket on your behalf with Microsoft, we're going to a dedicated side of Microsoft to engage that support to say, hey, we've got issues with the team's phone system. We need help with X, Y, or Z. And again, there's an SLA behind it. There's this 99.99 SLA that we as the operator and Microsoft offer for the Operator Connect solution. Whereas direct routing, I don't even know that there is an SLA with direct routing.
I don't know that there is either. Okay, well, let's move to why would a carrier, why would an organization choose, let's say Operator Connect, let's say they go Operator Connect. Why an Operator Connect carrier? This is a good one because this is oftentimes we get customers that come from calling plans, Microsoft calling plans. And what are some of the reasons why organizations ultimately come to an operator like us away from, let's say, a calling plan and a Microsoft calling plan? Mm-hmm. There's a few real key reasons why we see customers over and over again, but I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, the two main reasons, and again, no disparaging comments really, but what I hear on a day-to-day basis is I want better support. That's I think paramount, and that's front and center. I think every customer that we interact with, and I think anyone who has ever done business, they value customer service. They want to be treated with priority. They want solutions quickly. And so that's number one. And then number two is, it simplifies their life if they can hand it off to a carrier that, can handle and manage it for them. And I'm not even talking about pro services even. I'm just saying we as the carrier, we can help streamline their experience for telephony services. And then I have another one, but I'm going to let you speak to it because I know it's near and dear to you.
Well, there's a couple that, so those are absolutely, those are core, right? And there's a couple of them that we see on a regular basis though, and it is a lack of a complete solution. Okay, so if you're coming from a calling plan, it's because it was easy and you kind of had maybe an IT partner go, well, let me just turn this on for you. And you're absolutely right about, managing the telephony for you so that you understand that we can control it all and have different sort of landing places for your team, for your phone service. But what we really see customers come to us for in an immediate scenario, right? It's like, okay, we need two things. We either need texting over a Microsoft plan, and there's no texting available, right? So we've got texting available, and we'll show you what that looks like a little later. Or we've got a complete solution that we offer: fax lines, POTS lines, other business continuity. So there's this complete solution that is surrounding the Microsoft ecosystem, right? The Microsoft phone ecosystem. Whereas think about if you had a Cisco platform and you're like, okay, I've got fax lines coming into here, and I've got overhead pagers, and I've got door actuators, and then I've got 18 fax lines and elevator lines and all sorts of things kind of coming into my phone system. Now I'm moving from Cisco, I'm moving to Teams. And I go, okay, well, Teams provides an amazing PBX. It's fantastic. We're going to be able to do a lot. We can connect SIP gateway devices, and we can go engage the overhead pages. We can go engage the door actuators. We can do all those things, but there's still some analog requirements that are POTS lines requirements that maybe, I've got to go source somewhere else. There are still fax lines that I've got to go source somewhere else. I still need texting as a solution that I can't even activate on my existing number. So you've got all these sort of external solutions that are still kind of, tied to the phone system if you're coming from a legacy phone system. And those are the reasons why people come to us and go, look, I need to do this. And then you offer up a broader solution and take, we can talk about this for a moment here, but we've recently been acquired by Momentum Telecom. And more recently, we've been working together to kind of understand each other's business a little bit more from a product perspective. And now you've got the capabilities to go expand that and go, let's talk about SD-WAN, security circuit. So if you could imagine a single vendor that can control, your telephony experience and then bring it all the way back to your cloud core. I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's why we see customers end up coming to G12. And then again, like Brandon, you said, to hit that easy buttons where we can kind of build, manage, and support it for them. That becomes pretty interesting. And there's a lot of carriers, I think, out there that do an excellent job. And I think the parity of services is one that is becomes more interesting as you grow, right? If you can source a bunch from a single vendor, that becomes really fun. Okay, back to this Operator Connect stuff, and Brandon, a cool feature about Operator Connect is that maybe I operate predominantly in the U.S. and then maybe I've got some international requirements. Great. Does G12 provide that? Do other customers, yes. But here's what's interesting. You could have your existing vendor in, let's say, the US, if you're US based and you've got 99% of your business in the US, you could have existing vendor be an Operator Connect. Here you go. And then what's interesting is that you can go add a carrier that supports some other countries that you may want and just strike up a commercial agreement with them for that region specifically. And you can just go plug that in right into Operator Connect, which makes it it makes it like you're in control. It's like your phone system. You're in control, but you've got all these carriers to choose from. You don't have to figure out who provides services in Beijing or whatever. You can just go source it, figure it out, and go add it to your portfolio, right? And start to work with them commercially. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's a kind of a nice segue to, talking about the agnostic side of the Teams phone system, where, again, it's just a phone system, and Microsoft has done a pretty good job of not just in the operator world where you can mix and match your carriers for your global presence, but you can literally mix and match Operator Connect with direct routing with Microsoft calling plans. Microsoft doesn't stop you from saying, oh, you have to pick one and stay in this lane. I mean, we have customers that are doing both direct routing and Operator Connect for certain solutions, which we can talk about kind of the big things you get out of direct routing versus Operator Connect if we want. But there's reasons why you as a company, when you're looking at your phone system, you need to evaluate what are your requirements. And then, again, I know we're not trying to sell G12, but finding that partner who can help you navigate the, hey, we can help you here, but also, I think we do a good job of telling our customers, like, we can't necessarily help you here, but hey, we know these guys over here, and maybe you should go talk to them.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Okay, that's cool. Brandon, why don't you show us, let's get past all this discussion about Operator Connect. Let's just dive right into the weeds of it here. I'm a tech, I'm an administrator. I want to add a phone number or add dial tone to my Microsoft Teams tenant. How would I do that, Brandon?
Yeah, let me present my screen.
Should I drum roll? There's my swoosh. Swoosh.
I think I got it. Yeah, so I've landed on the home page of the Teams Admin Center, which, again, anyone that's watching that's familiar with the Teams Admin Center, this is the same place you go to administrate, your corporate policies around messaging and Teams room devices and your Teams rooms and planning and all of that stuff. And then Microsoft has just come in and they've layered in, and this has been here for quite some time because of direct routing, but the voice section, where now you would see, if you haven't been looking recently, you'll see there's this Operator Connect section, where as an admin, I can click on it, and this is the section where, like it says, manage your partnerships with your phone operators. So this is where you come in and you can see there's 78 operators, and it's pretty much the same screen you were just showing earlier, but now it's in a method where I can actually go, maybe I sign up and I provide, my consent to the carrier to say, hey, I want you to actually now activate the service for me. This piece is optional, but if we look at I'm going to pick on G12 only because I've provided consent already. So I'm going to click into it, and you can see the operator settings are active. So I, as a customer, let's say I decide, okay, I'm not pleased with this carrier, I can actually suspend my service with the carrier as well. I can revoke that consent. But this is just a place where, as an admin, you can manage who your operators are and, kind of keep track of, oh yeah, I forgot I do business with these guys. This piece, I'll just say, is not necessarily required by Microsoft. We recommend our customers go do this because there's just some value add to it from a management perspective.
And this is essentially where you do control those, let's say, the commercials, if you will, right? I think if you've got a commercial agreement, okay, you've got an existing carrier, you can go add them in here and you can go start to work with them here. Obviously, you've got the whole marketplace there. So now, if I want an international carrier for some specific regions, I can just go select somebody that's going to, provide services in, let's say, Australia. I go pick my region for Australia, and I can go see who's going to provide services in Australia. And let's see who's there. Okay, we've got a few, and you go pick one.
We'll pick on our buddies over at Pingco, since we know them quite well. Yeah, so I can go in and I can either look at their offer details, or maybe I've already committed to commercials. Then I can consent to, hey,
you should send them a consent.
Yeah. Go ahead and activate my service for, and you can see I can choose, do I want just Australia? Do I want New Zealand? Again, then once you've consented to them, being your operator, they would show up in, this list of your operators that you're working with.
So commercially, you've done a deal with these guys. Let's just say, and now I can see that you've got some numbers, right? You got, is it G12 Communications there? It's a bit small, but you got, is that numbers right there?
Yep,
so you've got some numbers. Okay. So then your inventory is shown right there. You can see your inventory, and this is something that's specific to Operator Connect versus direct routing. As an example, you've got a populated, this is what we were talking about earlier. You've got a populated number list, so you can see what you have available from an inventory perspective and what you don't have available and who it's assigned to. Is that right?
Yep. And also what carrier provider it is. So like if you're mixing and matching, that's the beautiful thing about Operator Connect versus direct routing, is I can see that maybe this batch of numbers is G12 Communications, but maybe the next batch is Microsoft because it's calling plans, or it's Pingco because they're Australia numbers. So it's a full view into my number inventory. It's not limited to just one carrier.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that's how you add numbers in Operator Connect. It's pretty simple. Actually, Brandon, what you should go into is the platform that does actually pull together the numbers for you and pushes them into Operator Connect here in the tag, because there is a piece missing here, right? Because you've got to, how do you source the numbers or something like that from your operator? There's that glue in the middle that you're sort of missing, and it's a gap for me as I'm thinking about it, going, okay, we went from here, but how did I get to these numbers right here? So that's something that I think would be worth showing. What, we talked about the Microsoft set of APIs, what's connected to that set of APIs, and how does it operate? And if, because we don't have another one, we'll show you the G12 version here so that you can see what some automation looks like.
And the thing to call out while I'm logging in is this is going to vary by operator carrier, because each operator is going to design their own mechanism for how they push those numbers into the Teams phone system or the Teams admin center. This is just one specific way. The important thing to call out is every operator uses the same set of APIs up to Microsoft. So the methodology is the same, but each carrier may be slightly different. There might be carriers that don't offer an interface, right? You just got to go order it and tell them, hey, I want these on my operator account, and they'll go push it for you. In this sense, it could be self-service, where I can say, okay, I as a customer, which I'm calling demo, I want to go get a number. So let's go ahead and request a new number. And I'm looking at G12 Communications available number blocks to order from.
While you're doing that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to, even before this, Brandon, what I want to kind of understand is, how does that sync? How does that connection take place so that I'm aware of how this automation actually happens? I know there's you've talked about a set of APIs at Microsoft. You've got this platform that sits in the middle of the telco environment, but how does this sync up, and what takes place in the background before we even get to the numbers and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to do it. Again, it's gonna vary by provider, right? G12 may have an extra set of features that the next carrier doesn't, or maybe we're lacking features that the next carrier has. But ultimately, what happens is, when customer decides they want to partner with, say, G12, they're going to come in and they're going to pair their Microsoft tenant. So we would need the tenant ID, and we're going to pair that to our platform. That then allows us, when we push numbers up to Microsoft via the API, we have the pairing and the tenant information for the customer to say, this number belongs to this tenant ID. Now go push it. And then from there, there's additional APIs we can build into, where part of the consent is, hey, we would like to read your Active Directory so we can give you extra tools around managing your users. You can assign or unassign, but that's, again, that's out of the scope of Microsoft. Now that's a specific feature to what we do versus maybe what another operator does.
But what I'm getting at, though, is there's a set of APIs that Microsoft provides that we write our software to, essentially, that then controls the engagement and the syncing with a tenant, right? Pairing the tenants together. So it's a controlled, secure environment, essentially, because we're only engaging with this set of APIs that Microsoft is aware of, and that Microsoft enables for operators to be able to facilitate Operator Connect services.
Yeah, we hear that all the time. We get lots of potential customers that go, well, we're concerned about the security of this, and yada yada yada. And kind of what my response has been when I talk to these potential customers is exactly what you said. Listen, we're not the ones who created the API. We're the ones that certified with Microsoft to use their APIs. So we're following, a very strict standard that Microsoft has outlined, which we have documentation around, but we're not out there just willy-nilly creating our own access into the Microsoft environment. We're being gated and controlled by Microsoft, and that's every operator.
And that's what I wanted to kind of hit on, because that is something that we see quite often, where you're engaging with a tenant, you're like, hold on a second, why are we syncing tenants here? So back to your numbers. Now you've got the numbers here. Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, and again, this is every operator is going to look different, so I don't want to spend like a ton of time explaining anything other than let's just show maybe I'm going to procure a number, and you know we'll see how long it takes. A Microsoft minute could be 30 seconds, a Microsoft minute could be an hour, and you know how me and demos go, right? I can't
Let's
promise.
see. Let's see if you let's see if this one gets pulled off without a hitch. Right? I'm
Yep.
sure it will.
And this is my demo environment, so I'm gonna have to make an additional setting. But I'm gonna this is not a number I own as the customer. So this 0201, it doesn't exist over in my inventory in Microsoft in the Teams Admin Center. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna purchase this block. Yep. And then I have it set to not publish to Microsoft because I don't want it to, because I might want to use it for something else. But let's go over and find that number. 0201. All right, so it's actually gonna go do it. So I must have changed my settings. So it's gonna publish out to Microsoft Operator Connect. It's right now pending allocation. What that means, from a backend perspective, is our APIs now are pushing that up into the customer's admin center. So if I search for that number 0201, it's probably not present yet. I should probably search for that specific number.
The whole number.
Yeah. So it's not there yet.
Not yet. And that's the allocation time here. I mean, it's it's like from a minute to I don't know to 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, we've seen it. It can go quickly. It can go slowly.
Well, what's the limiting factor there is, I think, batches here. So as an example, I think batches of 500 are start to slow down a little bit, whereas 0 to 500, I think, are pretty darn quick. They get processed in a pretty quick manner. Again, it depends on how busy the servers are, and maybe stuff's going crazy because it's Ignite right now. But it shouldn't be more than a minute or two for a single to 500 numbers.
And we can move on and come back to this. But the whole idea of the demonstration is when this status syncs, we're going to see it show up here. So that, answering your question, that's how, from a kind of behind the scenes perspective in an Operator Connect world, a customer procures a number, carrier pushes the number, and then on data sync, that number, as soon as it shows up in the customer's tenant, it's immediately available for service, meaning the dial tone is activated, the routing is in place, and now you can assign it to your resource and make those phone calls.
So one of the things that I hear all the time when we're talking to customers is one of the things that we explain to customers, that we've got control of the numbers prior to Microsoft Teams. So as an example, in the event, and this is for any OC provider, the OC provider is in the path of the DID getting to Microsoft, right? So if you think about the call coming in from the PSTN world, so other businesses and people, that call comes in, it traverses your carrier, okay, and then your carrier sends it out to Microsoft Teams via their OC connectivity. Now, in that space, Brandon, in that space where you've got control of the phone number, what are some things that you could do with that? So, some people are concerned about disaster recovery. They're concerned about if Teams has an issue, or if this has an issue, or what can we do with a number prior to it going into Microsoft Teams?
Yeah. So from a disaster recovery perspective, there's a couple things, and again, it gets hard for me not to sell our brand, right?
Yeah.
We can, assuming the number's routed into Microsoft Teams and it's assigned to a user, and then for whatever reason, if there's an outage that disconnects our ability to route that call to Microsoft, we have the ability to pull back that number routing and route that off to, another destination of the customer's choice. And we'll even go beyond that, and maybe we have partnerships with upstream carriers that we can even go, even if we have issues on our network, we can actually use our APIs with our business partners to even control the routing even further behind us. So we
So
have like 3 layers of, disaster recovery.
that's pretty exciting because you think about that and you go, okay, if I can eliminate one sort of area of trouble or concentration, and I've got a way out of that, that makes it a really really viable solution for critical sort of scenarios. So in that same sort of redundancy kind of path, couldn't you also build, let's say, trunks, or couldn't you also build services that you then control the phone number's destination to?
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, I think a common setup that we see is, you know, customer has an existing relationship with a contact center, could be a
Yep.
Five9, a
Good
Genesis,
example. Yep.
Ring Central, whoever, and we can set up a routing control that allows you to bring that call in and route that off to your contact center instead of Microsoft Teams, which also plays into the disaster recovery aspect, in that if there is an issue and you want your contact center to handle the outage situation, to handle those phone calls, we could then route that off to your contact center.
Oh,
Um,
great example. Great example. Good
you know,
example there. So, and that's handled via a trunk. Is that how you're building that?
yeah,
Is
it's
that a
just
trunk?
yeah, legacy SIP trunking concept, right? Automated, but legacy idea. And
Okay.
yeah, again, I'm trying to stay. I keep saying I'm trying to stay away from G12 specific, but what we're talking about though is, as back to the original start of this conversation when you said, how would you pick your operator? These are the kinds of things that you want to take into consideration when you go pick your operator. Is how flexible is your partner in what they can do for you from a resiliency perspective, from an ancillary service perspective, all that stuff, right? And so obviously you know, when I talk about it, I'm talking about G12, but try not to sell us either.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, very good. I think this is exciting because again, you talk about what's different between direct routing and operator connect, and it seems like it's a really significant difference, right? And but there may be some scenarios where you could use direct routing. That's a good sort of topic to kind of hit on, because we did talk about how amazing operator connect is in comparison to direct routing, but there are some instances where direct routing is needed. The feature parity between OC and DR is different a little bit. What you have give us like what's one specific scenario where you would use direct routing versus operator connect, and can you establish direct routing in your same let's say as a carrier? I guess you would be nice is if you're using the same carrier, you could use the same carrier for OC and DR potentially, right?
Mhm.
Those carriers may offer that as we do, but what's one scenario you'd want DR versus OC?
I'll give you probably the big one, and maybe the use case isn't that big, but it's critical. And that would be, let's say I'm a business that under no circumstances can I lose my PSTN calling, right? Whatever that business is, maybe it's a hospital, whatever it is, but I under no circumstances can I lose that calling. One thing that direct routing offers that Operator Connect doesn't offer yet today is what they call survivable branch. And what that is it's a device that sits out on the customer prem, where you bring a local loop in, like a local carrier, think old school, dial tone,
As a
you know,
backup, right?
as a
As a
backup,
yeah.
So what happens is, if internet gets severed to that site, or all the connectivity gets severed to that site from a regular business operating perspective, that survivable branch has the ability to re-register the on-prem teams to itself, and now it can route that call through that local loop. And that's probably one of the big things that, the big enterprises may look at if they say, hey, we cannot under any circumstance lose calling.
So that's interesting, and I'm gonna just restate it for me so it sticks. Okay, so you've got I'm a legacy PBX organization. I've got a Cisco in the back of the closet there. I'm about to go to Microsoft Teams, and man, I'm quaking in my boots, right? Like I'm just like white knuckling this. I'm really concerned because oh no, this is cloud stuff, and I've controlled this Cisco for the last 15 years now, and I'm really concerned about and the organization rightfully so is concerned about, hey, what can I do to create the most robust solution possible? So now you go, all right, well, whatever carrier you are, you're giving me direct routing, or maybe you're giving me operator connect, but you're giving me some direct routing or you're giving me direct routing here, and I've got a an SBC essentially that I'm putting on site,
Mhm.
right? The survival branch device. Call that, the emergency box. It's the red box. I got a red box on site. And in that red box, I'm going to my local. So maybe I've chosen somebody else for direct routing, but I'm going to my local LEC essentially, or my local CLEC. And those terms are old telecom terms, but local exchange carrier. So think about your AT&T, your Southwestern Bell, your US West. Those are the legacy sort of carriers. They've morphed back into an AT&T, or you've got a solution with up in the Northwest. You've got Allstream as an example. So you've got those guys. These are your local telecom providers that maybe you had before you went to voice over IP, right? So now you've got a line from those guys. Maybe it's a single line. Maybe it's maybe it's 4 or 5 lines from those guys. Maybe it's whatever else, but you've got a line in from those guys into that red box. And so what you're saying is, if internet gets severed at that site, I still have LAN connectivity within the site, right? So everybody can still sort of talk to each other within that. But now I can make a call and it's going to go to the red box now if there's a problem here with the cloud, right? Because there's no internet, that's cut off. Now I'm going to make a call and it's going to go to the red box, and the red box is going to fire off a call via old school dial tone. Is that it?
That's 1000% correct. Yep. And it has very basic features. Don't think of it as feature parity like, oh, I still can do, all these Teams phone features. It's meant for, break glass. I need to survive this, whatever this issue is.
Got it. Okay. That's good to know. I mean, that's a great solution that some organizations absolutely need, and being able to provide that in conjunction with whatever else you're proud about providing them is pretty interesting.
And again, it can be, maybe you identify as a business that maybe not all of your users need that survivability, right? So again, it goes back to the mix and match. You don't have to go all in on a direct routing solution. If maybe it's 90% of your business, who cares if you lose cloud connectivity for a minute? It's maybe just that 10% that need it. And so again, finding a partner who can work with you to, do that solution design, I think is one of the most key things. And you've heard me say this before, maybe not on the podcast, but your vendor relationships are the most important thing for your business. And without the relationship, for me, it, no relationship, it almost equates to no business in my mind, because I value knowing I have the partner who has my back.
I think that's an important way to state it. It's your partner in business versus your vendor or versus your contractor. Like it's just a play on words. I get it, but having a partner in your communication, your organization's communication, is really critical. And again, it's why organizations like G12 are in business, because we provide that high level of support. And again, I'm not pitching us, because I'm sure there's a lot of organizations that have great support out there. But really, that support and that level of familiarity is really important in how you work with someone. So that is pretty key. You're absolutely right, to a successful business. Okay, so let's do this. I want to make sure that anybody out there that has questions about Operator Connect and/or direct routing and/or calling plans has an opportunity to get those addressed. So please fire away if you've got questions. Let's talk about some of the things that we've seen coming up in the Microsoft ecosystem that are maybe not available just yet, but that we see coming in the preview mode. I think that's interesting because there's some really cool features coming out in Microsoft Teams that are going to allow organizations to expand what they think they could do with Microsoft Teams Phone today. What do you think?
Yeah, and just I'm going to close the loop on the number that I ordered. I just want to show it's there. I know we segued for minutes and minutes, but it's there. It should be, unless I got logged out, should be in sync over here. I probably got logged out. Yeah, there it is. So you can see, as a carrier, I can see that it's synced, but as the customer, that number is available for dial tone and utilization. All right, so features. What features do you want to talk about first?
Well, what's coming that people need to know about that's in Microsoft Teams Phone? Because there's maybe I don't want to spoil it and say here's something that's coming. What features? I mean, you've got in preview mode, you can see some of the features that are coming down the pipe with Microsoft, and that will be released. We don't have a date for these things, but what's interesting in the features that you're seeing that are becoming available soon?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of features. I think some of the ones that we end up talking about the most with potential customers is really around the capabilities of the call routing logic and what you can do with that call routing. So think, you're taking it from a basic IVR system that does a hunt group or some kind of call queue, and now customers might need more robust, I'll call it call center features that Teams Phone has not had or does not have to date. And that's things like real time statistics around how your attendance and call queues are performing. Could be things around how you delegate your supervisors to have control over, hey, can I force an agent? In fact, I just had this conversation the beginning of the week with a potential customer of, hey, we run a very basic call center, but one thing we want to be able to do is we want to be able to look at our agents, and if they're not in queue, we want to be able to put them in queue. And so that's a feature that's coming, is being able to toggle agents in and out of queue as a supervisor. Rules around changing greetings. Let's say you need to change inclement weather, you need to change the hours of operation, you need to change the way a call routes. You no longer have to be, when the feature releases, you're no longer going to have to be a Teams admin to do it, right? You can be a delegated, authorized user that right off of your main Teams client, the Teams desktop client, you can go in and you can control the logic of how a call queue operates. And then probably one of the big ones is the agent monitoring. The ability to whisper, the ability to coach, the ability to barge in. There's tons of features in here. Monitor, whisper, barge, or take over for the mode. And then whether or not you want to notify the agent that you're doing these tasks on their behalf.
This is what gets me really excited. Like, you basically have a contact center light solution, if you will, right? I'm not going to say it's a contact center equivalence of five nines or anybody like that, but you've got a contact center light solution here where you can monitor your agents. You can see real-time statistics, right? You can capture the information that you need. I mean, this is you can have agents, go in and out of queues. It is really, really a great direction and solid features that are going to be rolling down to expand the Microsoft Teams Phone solution, inching closer into that contact center. So you've got one spot to sit and handle everything that you need out of Microsoft Teams Phone. That's what I was talking about. So that's pretty darn exciting.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'll point out, and this is more general around our overall discussion today around Operator Connect versus direct routing, is I was on a Microsoft, I don't know what you would call it, but a meeting of the operators where we all got together. It was on
Operator days.
Basis. Yep, invite basis. And the one thing that was interesting to me that they spoke to, and they didn't get into detail, obviously, but their intent with Operator Connect is, it's not going to come overnight. It may not come for another few years, but ultimately the communication was they want to bring feature parity to Operator Connect so that Direct Routing and Operator Connect have complete feature parity. And that's going to be if and when that day comes, that's going to be a complete game changer for Operator Connect, because now the debate is over whether you should go manage this solution yourself or partner with, someone who's highly qualified and certified with Microsoft to operate on your behalf.
So this is an interesting topic. I mean, we only have 1 minute and we're going to close this up, but really what I want to say is this is pretty interesting how we see, and customers don't know this as an example, but we see Microsoft coming out into the community, like really coming out into the community and going, hey, what do we need to make this better? What do we need to help our customers? What do we need to make this easier? What do we need to make this faster? Like they are literally throwing, how many people were on that call, Brandon? It was 200 people.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So like 200 people, and then we're talking about from organizations, the 78 global organizations that are connected into the Operator Connect ecosystem, and then you've got a massive team from Microsoft, and they're asking, what is it that we can help you with, right? So that we can deliver higher quality service, faster service, et cetera. So there's a lot of resources going into making Operator Connect the world's premier ecosystem for Teams Phone. And Teams Phone, the numbers were 320 million active Teams users and somewhere just shy of 20 million active PSTN users. So there are this could be you. There are 60 million roughly, I think is what I was right, or is it 80 million that were E5, somewhere on there. I feel like there's 60 million is the number that is coming to my head. Users out there that are I'm paying for an E5 or Teams Phone and don't have PSTN services just yet. So you're sitting on probably the world's best team or business phone system out there, and you don't have it activated for your organization yet. And so that was an interesting comment.
Yeah, maybe they don't even know they have the Teams Phone system with that license.
That's I think there's a growing number of organizations that choose the E5 license for a lot of different reasons. Security is a really big one, right? And they don't even tell the telco team, hey, we've got E5 licenses. By the way, we're buying a phone system. And the telco team's still, kind of dinking around with the Cisco or their Mitel or their NEC or Avaya out there, right? Yeah. Yet they're sitting on the licenses required for this amazing phone system. So as geeky as that is, right, to go, it's the world's most amazing phone system. It actually is, and it does excite us in the telecom world. So, yeah. Brandon, I think that's it, buddy. That's a wrap. We were top of the hour, actually a little past top of the hour. Thanks for hanging with us, guys. It's been a really it's a real technical show today, right? We got into the weeds about Operator Connect and into the weeds about direct routing. Normally we bounce around and cover 4 or 5 different topics, but we stayed really, really focused on Operator Connect and direct routing versus, calling plans and different things like that. So we hope you enjoyed the show. Brandon, why don't you take us out, buddy?
Yeah, I'm just going to wish our U.S. listeners and audience, a happy and safe and amazing Thanksgiving with friends, family, whoever you're going to spend it with. To our international listeners, you're just going to have to maybe shed a tear next week since we're off. But then we will catch you live in London. What is that? November? Is that December 1st? Whatever that date is.
Yeah, it's November 28th.
Live in London, November 28th.
Real quick shout out to Jimmy Vaughn and Michelle Baum, who joined us last week. And it was an amazing show last week. I was traveling to a partner, Unified Communications, down in Houston, Texas. So it was an exciting show. They were absolutely great to have on and share their knowledge about Teams rooms, which is a really important aspect of this whole Teams and Microsoft ecosystem when it comes to communications.
I've decided, I know we're really late now. I've decided that before we have them back on the show again, I come, HE double hockey sticks and high water. I need a Teams room set up so that I can get on and feel like I'm a part of the group.
There you go. And you're going to be eye level.
Right.
Right. You may need a Panicast out there. Like, not that I'm advocating for any particular vendor, but a Panicast.
Don't we have a friend that could, maybe?
We do. It's JB. I'm going to call him JB, right? Where's a cowboy hat? You may see him on LinkedIn every now and then, but
right.
Yeah, JB, we may need a little help with a Panicast.
Teams room right here. Give me a call.
Everyone, that's a wrap. Episode 41's out. Thank you very much, guys. We'll catch you not next week, but the week after, episode 42, live from
See ya.
London. See you guys.